right. Okay, Jean, let's hear your experience.
Good morning, class.
Good morning.
I'm Jane. My experience in the internet section, I would say is an official section where questions will be thrown to you from the interviewer. And what I can say about interview is just that they want to know about you, and they want to also know if you are fit for the job role. And also, interview is all about is a conversation. It's not just to put you at edge. It's a conversation between two people or more than two people. What again about interview is you also want to know how you are interested in the role and also in the organization.
Okay.
That's the general
Perception. So how was the interview for you? Did you get the job?
Yes, I've had numerous interviews.
No, but did you get the job for this particular interview?
Yes.
You got the job. Okay, awesome. All right, thank you.
Class.
Morning.
My interview is not, I won't say it's official, but it's not that intense like the interview I've been hearing, or you and the interviewer, like, we are trying to reach a negotiation.
Okay.
Like what they want from you and what you can offer. And of what benefits are you going to bring to the organization, and applying for the particular, what are the roles that you have for applying the particular post you have.
What are the skills? All right, did you get the job? You did. Awesome. So now we've heard of different experiences of interview class, of the interview session, and then luckily they both got the jobs, right? So today I'm going to be diving in just a little bit more to explain to us what an interview means, the do's and don'ts of an interview, how to ace an interview, and then also top questions that you can be asked during the course of an interview, right? So if you have questions for me, I'll let you know in different stages when you can ask the question, so that we're not asking so many questions at the same time, or something I could have explained previously. So now, what is an interview? Who wants to try? Let me hear you. Please come forward.
Good morning, class.
Good morning.
Yeah. What's the question again?
What is an interview?
An interview is an introduction section. An employee to know if the person is capable of doing a certain job or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Who agrees with him? Who wants to tell me something different? Okay, Damilola.
I'm sorry, but according to my field of study,
Okay.
an interview is an interactive section between two or more people.
Okay.
The people it's either between the interviewee and the interviewer.
Thank you. An interviewer. So it seems that everybody has access to my slide, because we got some of the key terms I have on my slide. So now, what is an interview? An interview is a meeting or a session between an employer or interviewer and a potential applicant or an interviewee to discuss a potential hire. So I'm going to break that down for us. What this simply means is it is a meeting, a session, a conversation, right, between an employer and an interviewer. So it could either be the employer himself or they have a selected interviewer to interview, not the, okay, yeah, so employer, right, speaking with a potential applicant or an interviewee. So the person is not yet an employee because you've not received offer letter and then they've not told you that you're already a member of that organization, right? So that is the difference there. The only word which is wrong here is the employee, because it's gainfully employed in such organization, right? And the interviewer and the applicant have a, so I will be speaking on goals for the applicant now. Is to learn more about the role, right? So you're undergoing an interview process. You already have your skill sets with you. Say for instance, you're applying for the role of a customer service representative. You already have your skill set with you. You know that you have to be an excellent communicator. You have to pay attention to details. You have to have great interpersonal relationship with people, right? Because of the job role which you're applying for. Next is a group interview. So group interview is, let me put it as the opposite of panel interview. So group is when you have more than one job applicant seated or standing during the course of an interview, and then you have just one interviewer. I'm going to show us images to explain this more. So we can see here the panel interview. This is a panel of interviewers and then just one job applicant. Same as here. So they can decide to ask you questions one after the other, right? Or it can be just one particular person that is asking the question. So what they're looking at here is you being able to answer each and every person, right? Say for instance, now as I'm speaking, you are all my panelists, and then as I'm speaking, I'm looking into the eyes of each and every person. I'm carrying each and every one of us along, right? Unlike when you go for a panel interview and then you're just staring at only one person, the other people would become absent-minded because they feel that they're not carried along. So that is one of the key things when you see that the interview turns out to be a panel interview. You're supposed to maintain eye contact with each and every person that you see. Next is a group interview. So the group interview is when you have one interviewer and then you have a set of interviewees. It can be more than one. So they can ask you the same question, or this interviewer can ask you the same question. They expect that you give them different responses. They can say, tell me about yourself. That's why it's always good to know yourself. Practice questions that you know that they might most likely ask you during the course of an interview. Next, it's practical and technical interviews. So this can happen if you're applying for the role of a kitchen assistant or a baker, right? They can tell you, oh, okay, you said you can bake a bread, you can make a donut, you can bake a cake, right? So come and show us. Tell me, show me, don't tell me. Those are these kinds of interviews. It can also be for an accountant. They can tell you, oh, okay, can you balance these books for us? Or it can be, say, a software operator or a computer operator, and then they say, okay, create maybe a PowerPoint slide or do something. Can be just short, but then it's just for them to see what you say you can actually do. Next is assessment-based interviews. So these kinds of interviews, most times, after you've gone for, say, the first stage, they can now call you back, those people that scale through and say, okay, we have this assessment for you, just kindly answer the questions below, and then they use that as well to cut off people that are not culturally fit for their organization. Interview over a meal, right? This is a situation or a case or a scenario where you have, you are being called to a restaurant, right, or a diner, maybe eat, have a coffee or something, and then this is also an interview process because the interviewer or the employee or the employer is also asking you questions, and at the same time they still expect you to eat. So they want to see how well you can balance this, if you have table manners, if you have etiquette, because some people might just put food in their mouth and then they are speaking with their mouths all open, right? But then when you encounter this kind of interviews, it's always nice to cover your mouth like this and then you are still speaking. That way, even if food wants to come out from your mouth, it's only touching your palm, and then you can just clean it with a tissue paper after, right? So it's basically to avoid showing whatever it is that is inside your mouth to the interviewer, right? Table manners. All right, so what do you think is unique about this interview scenario? Or what type of interview is this? From what I explained. So, okay, do you want to try?
Say panel is more than one then group is one employer and more than one applicant. So this is group.
So, what kind of interview do you see?
So say
Group, okay. Who agrees with that? Let's see your hands. Please raise it up well now. Own your answer. Be proud of it. Are you raising up your hand? Do it, own it. Above your head, everybody. Above your head. Okay. You to raise up your hand. You're the one that gave the answer. Okay. Alright. What's your name? Why did you raise your hand up? It's a group interview. That's what she said. No. Okay, my friend, what type of interview is it? Panel interview.
More than one
Interviewer.
So they might including each one family.
You still agree with that? Okay. James, last man standing. What type of interview is it? Pick one. I've given you about 5. Pick one.
I'll go with panel.
You go with panel. Okay, so actually everybody is right, but then everybody is not still right at the end of the day. You are semi-right, everybody. This is actually a group and a panel interview. Panel is when you have more than one interviewer. Here we have 2. Group is when you have more than one interviewee. Yes. Here we have 4 interviewees or 4 job applicants, and then we have 2 panelists. So it's actually a group and a panel interview. This can also happen in real life, right? And then they both ask you questions, maybe at intervals, but they still want to hear you say different things. Okay, so now this is another segment of the interview class. It's what we call before, during, and after the interview. James, is it that I know your name? Oh? So tell me something that you feel you should do before your interview.
What I'm supposed to do?
Yes, just tell me one thing you feel you should do before the interview. They call you today, James, you have an interview tomorrow. What would you do?
I'll prepare for the interview. I'll make researches about where I'm going.
Okay. Okay. It's your names that are coming to me. What do you think you would do?
how to know more about
You want to know more about?
the environment, about the
Okay. Are you in the organization?
what they are doing.
Benefits. So that's what you're after, not even the job. Not what you do, is the benefits. No problem. What's your name, brother?
The first thing I do is
Tell me only one.
I will try to know more about the job role I'm applying for.
Okay. Anybody else wants to volunteer? I'm coming back to you.
Think of possible questions.
Think of possible questions. So that is practice likely questions.
Yes.
Okay.
Work on the skills that are required for the job.
Okay. So that is knowing your skill sets. Okay, so I'm going to just be listing a couple for us. First thing is to get your CV and your cover letter ready. I was expecting someone. I was expecting someone to say that, right? So getting your CV and your cover letter ready. There's some organizations that they would specify send your CV to us in a PDF document. And some of you might have forgotten your PDF, your CV or your cover letter is still in a doc, right? So you're supposed to convert it to PDF. Some of you will just send it immediately or send it like that, but the actual best way to send it is, I like sending it through PDF because it doesn't scatter whatever I've put there. If you send it through doc, it can give you a table that was never there, right? So get your CV and your cover letter ready. I heard we've already had our CV class, so we already know what a CV actually entails. Next thing is to research the role and industry trends that happen in that role in terms of the salary, job description, skills, and competencies. So I'm going to be explaining that to us a little bit more. First thing is salary. I know that everybody, not even a lot, everybody likes to talk about money, everybody likes to earn money, right? But then when you're applying for a role, I always say to people, salary can be the thing that would cut you off from actually getting a dream job. Okay, sit down. But I'm coming back to you, so still be thinking. When you are talking about salary, right, you want to know how much would it take you to get to the location. Say for instance, we all live in Yaba, and then we all get called in for an interview at Lekki. You want to know how much, for every day of the month that I'm going to be going to this interview, how much would it take me there? How much do I need to eat? Calculate all of this down. How much do I need to save? For those of us that pay our tithes, how much do I need to pay my tithes? How much do I think that I should have in cash or in hand anytime? Right? So these are everything that you should calculate before you just go and call maybe 200,000, 150,000, 100,000, 40,000, 25,000, right? So you need to have done your major research. Don't say that because my friend who is also in this industry is earning this amount, means I should earn that amount, right? A lot of people like to compare, but then you do not know the skill sets, you do not know the competencies that your friend has that is making him or her to earn more or earn less than you would actually earn. Another thing is the job description. So you want to know, this job I'm applying for, what am I supposed to be doing there? I know a lot of people that when they apply for jobs, most especially online jobs, they screenshot the roles that they see there or the job description or their responsibilities. Just in case they call them back for an interview, you can know where to go back to and say, oh, I saw this. I know how to link it to your questions or your answers during the course of the interview. Right? So you need to know the job description, know what is expected of you, so that at the point where they are giving you extra work, you know how to come in to say, oh, but I never saw this, maybe in my offer letter or in the job description while I was applying. That will make people know that this person actually pays attention to details. They will not know it's just a screenshot that you have on your phone. Another thing is skills and competencies. So say for instance, you're applying for the role of a customer service representative, right? You need to know what skill set does a CS person need to have, CS customer service. What criteria, what abilities does this person need to have? What are the free courses or paid courses that I can take that would upskill me in this particular area, right? So that you can grow on the job. Believe me, you do not want to be in a particular company for 5 years and then you've not taken any courses, you've not done anything to upgrade yourself. By the time you move into another organization, they might pay you lesser because they've seen that maybe in 5 years, there's no added certification, no added qualifications to you. It's just that experience, like you went to work for 5 years, no add-on experience. So they'll believe that you are a little bit delayed, right? Say for instance, you cannot be applying for a tech position and then at least maybe on a quarterly basis, you are not trying to research on something that is new in a particular space. Because by the time you leave, say, a tech industry, you've been working there for like 2 years, you'll not take any extra courses, nothing. By the time you move into another tech organization, you'll be outdated because a lot of things would have come up as new things. Another thing is to research the organization. So you want to know the location, you want to know how long would it take for you to get there. Is it 30 minutes? Is it 25 minutes? Is it 10 minutes, right? How long? What does this organization do? What do they stand for? What's their mission? What's their vision? Who is their CEO? How do they operate? Like, what's their company policy? You want to basically know everything about the organization because this will be more or less like your second home. You are spending about 8 hours per day in a particular organization. You want to know basically everything that you can about the organization, about their staff members. How do they treat their staff? Do they delay salary? Do they give extra benefits and compensation? So these are some of the things that you should actually know. Another thing is to know yourself, practice like the questions and know the skills that you have. So when we say know yourself, do not say that, oh, I'm a computer literate. You now rate yourself 10 over 10 for Google Docs or Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. Meanwhile, say for instance you're a 1 over 10, right? You do not know yourself, because what if they decide an assessment-based interview for you, and then they give it to you, and then you're asking somebody, what would I click to do this? What would I click to do that, right? You need to know yourself. You need to know the skill sets that you have, because if you lie about the skill sets that you have, the employer will definitely know, because they might ask follow-up questions. Okay, so you say you've done this, you say you've worked here, you said you solved a problem of this. How did you do it? Walk me through the process. And if your questions, or if your statement, or if your illustration is not fine, if it's not connected, they will definitely know that there's something missing. This person is not giving us the full story. Research the location. Maintain regular eating habits. Say for instance now, maybe a couple of us are not morning eaters. That means you do not like to eat in the morning. You know that if you eat in the morning, it's going to affect your stomach. So I always advise that avoid doing this, because early morning, maybe going to the toilet can be very nasty or something, right? So you need to maintain your regular daily habits that you do. Don't say because an interview, let me go and make one swallow, or let me go and do this, or let me go and do that. If you know that taking money is fine with you, then you should do that. If you can eat fruits, it's fine. If you can still eat normal food and you're still fine, then that's awesome. But do not do anything outside the norms simply because you're going for an interview that specific day. Next is grooming. I'm also going to show an illustration to this, or an image rather. Grooming. Talk about grooming. She wanted to explain to us getting prepared. And say to get prepared. You could have said get your CV, get your clothes. That's ready. Grooming. First thing, set of clothes washed and ironed. I like to call this set of clothes the interview clothes. Your house wear, they are different from your sleepwear, party wear, they are different from your church wear, right? I'm sure that Tolu told us that for Wave, we always advise that a white shirt and a black skirt, black pants, or black trousers with black shoes, right? So keep this kind of clothes separate, because these are interview clothes, or even knee length, because by the time you sit, it's going to jump up no matter what, and then you want to be as comfortable as possible. You do not want to be so self-cautious, because that will make you to start being tense. You start being stressed, because you will start comparing yourself to other people that are seated there, right? So avoid revealing clothes and short skirts. Also avoid visible piercings and tattoos. So for those of us that have more than 1 year old, when you're in an interview, it's always advisable that you use 1 earring per ear, right? So don't fill up all the holes simply because oh, I saw her laughing. I have to check her ears. So do not put on more than 1 earring on a particular ear, because it makes you seem unprofessional. Maybe after you've gotten the job and then you see that, oh, people are still allowed to do this. Some people can still pierce their nose works, right? So when you see that people are still allowed to do this, then you can now bring in your own. But at that point of you applying, you've not gotten the job, you need to come as decent, as moderate as possible. Another thing is to avoid clingy tops. So do not wear body hug or all these crop tops, right? You do not want to dress in a way that would give people bad perception about you, basically. They said it's always good to be modest, right? And dress the way you want to be addressed. If you leave that interview place now, then you see maybe all these area boys, they are stopping you, or they are saying, fine girl, you would feel angry with yourself. Most especially if you know that you're just coming from an interview of, say, an HR personnel, and then you're seeing agberos or area boys telling you, fine boy, fine girl. You will feel very like, do I look that way to you? But then you don't know that maybe because of the way you've dressed already, you've given them another perception about you. So do not use too much jewelries, right? So don't go with bracelets, don't go with wristbands from your church, devil must go. All of that is not necessary for an interview. You can pray all of those prayers in your house, in the comfort of your house. But then when you're going for an interview, it's always advisable to just be modest, be clean, put on small earrings. You know, wear hoop earrings when you're going for an interview, because hoop earrings too can cause discomfort for you. You can make a hair and then it's just tied up somehow, some way, and then it's just distraction, too much distraction for yourself and also the employer, and also hair on your face. So it's always advisable that you pack your hair to the back, right, when going for an interview, because by the time you put on your bone straight and bending like this, there's just hair coming all around. If I'm the interviewer, I'll get distracted. I'll just look at your hair since that's what you came to show me, right? So yes, let's look at the dress. Skirt length. See the hair. Although it's not so clear, but then we have an understanding of what I was trying to explain. For the nails as well, we advise that even if you want to fix your nails, paint them nude. So don't go with shouty colors such as. But in general, when you are going for an interview, it's always advisable that your deodorant or your perfume is really moderate. So you do not want to use perfumes or deodorants that are too strong and that might choke the next person, right? It can really get uncomfortable. It can even start to affect you because you might start to cough and all of that. I've experienced people that use perfumes like that and then it's affecting them as well, not to talk of other people around them. All right, so everybody please stand up and then we're going to assess ourselves. Because by next week, we're going to be having the practical interview with someone coming from Wema Bank to interview us. So I want us to be as neat and dressed appropriate as possible. Tolu, do you want to help me? Belt hole? No. Okay, so that's fine. So I think the only thing for me is the hair. It's still full, although it's fine, right? I like it. But then it's full. You're going for an interview. Your neck piece as well, and then the sleeves should just come down. Your shoes are fine. Trouser is fine. The shirt as well should be white. That's cool. David, you already know, right? I should tell you. Okay, cool. Jane, I like the gown. Okay, so I like the gown. The hair can go to the back as opposed to coming sideways. The earring is still a bit big. You can get something smaller, right? I like the wristwatch. That's fine. Your sandals has to turn to shoes. Right. The gown is still okay for an interview that is outside of wave, but then for wave we subscribe to white and black. Right. That's what majority of our employers know wave people to be, and we already have some employers that are looking out for you guys to come in to work for them already. Sunji, so the shirt, neck piece, the hair can still go down or you can press it a bit. The shoe is fine, trouser is fine, belt is fine. You understand? Thank you. David, shirt, trouser, shoes.
So what if I'm going for a bigger job? You don't know, like,
Yes, waiting most especially. Yes, it should maybe use gloss. Okay, Binke, you can free yourself. It's not national anthem. Okay, so sandals has to turn to shoes, most especially because of your new color, right? Your shirts, you can't wear shorts for an interview. You can wear long pants, trousers, or skirts, right? The top, so it's not ironed, it's crop, right? It's crop, so not appropriate for an interview. Then the earring as well. The other one, yes, has to go. Okay. Tizu. Rhoda, okay. I like the blazers, the trousers. The open toes though, do you have covered? Okay, that's fine. Most especially because of your nail polish as well. Pelumi. Okay, I like the shirts, the t-shirts. That's when you've gotten the job. The neck piece is fine. Earring is fine. Hair packed well. Pants, trousers fine. Do you have a black shoe though? But can you get? Okay, awesome. Sylvia. Okay, this is fine, but the shirt has to be white. And then your earring. How many O's do you have? Damlola, the neck piece is fine. Earring, is that two or one? One. Okay, but it's confusing, so you have to wear one, right? The shirt is not professional enough, although it's white. but because of the holes, it's not really professional. Skirt net is okay, shoes okay. Faithful, your neck piece is now so long. If it was a bit shorter, that would have been fine as well. Your wristband has to go. Shoes are fine. The gown is fine when you've gotten the job, right? But applying, you need to wear white and black, most especially for wave. And then the earring is fine as well. You can sit down, those of you that I've spoken to. So are you done with them? Okay, awesome. No, so now we've gotten to the location of the interview. Remember that the first one we did was before the interview, right? So now we've gotten to the location. Remember that the interview begins as you enter the premises. So you have to comport yourself. Please remember that in front said, I should comport myself, right? So do not get to the gate, do not enter the premises, and that's when you begin to tuck in your shirt. You should have done that from your house before you enter the organization, right? Be on time. Don't be late for your rule of thumb says arrive 30 minutes before your scheduled time. So if you're scheduled for 9 a.m., you should be there by 8:30. That means you should have woken up since like maybe 6 or thereabouts, even if you are moving from Yaba to Island, just to be prepared, right? You do not want to rush, you do not want to get there and then you're all sweaty because you would lose your focus and you want to be focused for the interview. Next thing is be polite to everyone you meet. So greet, good morning ma, good morning sir, right? Do not see that, okay, this person is just a man, let me not greet him or her, right? But then you do not know if the CEO has dressed up in the outfit of the security guard and then they just want to see how you receive people, right? If you receive compliments and how well you offer compliments, right? I heard of someone who had such experience. She never knew that that was the CEO. But then she just greeted casually and said, good morning sir, I'm here for the interview. Then she went in, right? So later on the person changed and then she saw that that was who was interviewing her as well. Next thing is do not eat while or ask permission to do so. So do not get to the lobby or to the reception area and then that's when you bring out snack from your bag or food from your bag and then you just begin to eat. Even if you have maybe a medication to take, then you can ask the receptionist, oh please, I need to eat because I have so emergency. I have to maybe use this drug at a particular time. Is there somewhere I can eat or stay to eat so that I'll be able to use this drug, right? And then they can as well maybe tell you to go to maybe their lunchroom or kitchen or thereabouts to use. Next thing is do not be on the phone while waiting. So the interview for any reason might be delayed, right? Maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. So do not assume that it is okay or it is cool for you to be on your phone. You might be saying that you're researching the organization or you're checking out something or you're calculating something, but that is not the time for that. If you need to maybe read a book or keep yourself busy or your mind busy, you can go with a hard copy book. Or if they have magazines or maybe newspaper, you can just be scrolling through it. Something to just pass your time with, as opposed to you bringing out your phone, because they don't know what you're doing on your phone. Like the screen is so small, people that are far away from you would not actually know what you're doing, right? So it is not appropriate for you to bring out your phone while waiting. So I heard of the case of someone, right? She was applying for the role of a manager, and then I can't remember the figure of people that were there, but they were a lot. They kept them in a very big open space, and then they just kept them there. No information, no nothing. They just asked them to wait. And then everybody just started chatting, talking. Everybody got carried away, aside this lady who probably just greeted and then she began to mind her business, right? She was the only one that got called back for the interview, because after that they just asked all of them to leave, and then she was the only one they called back, and then she got the job. Because you're applying for a manager, they didn't expect that manager should be all and about everybody's business. You should go to maybe sales department and then just start talking, right? So you need to be able to comport yourself, most especially for the role you're applying for. Another thing is to sit properly. Faithful, please stand up. Your chair. Okay. James, come and sit. No, it's not an interview yet. Just sit. So who thinks he's sitting properly? Who thinks he's sitting properly? If you think so, raise up your hand, please. James, it seems nobody likes in this class. So,
Yeah.
so this is how you keep your hand throughout. Are you sure, James?
No,
Be free.
not possible.
Be free. How would you sit? Just, this is the reception area now, or the interview room, as the case may be.
Where am I now? The reception room? Or
Interview room.
the interview room?
Yes. And you're fine that way. You can sit there for 1 hour. Perfectly. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Please stand up. It's okay. Come and sit, please. Who thinks she's sitting properly? Okay. Doris, please come and sit. You can sit like this for 1 hour and you're fine. Okay, that's fine. So I haven't seen anybody with a bad sitting posture yet. That's cool. You can sit down back. Okay, so this is an image of proper sitting posture. So we can see how the guys are sitting. Bad, bad, bad. Perfect. Or you can keep your legs still together if that would not disrupt you, and if you're very comfortable like that, right? I know that a lot of guys, when they go to church videos, this is how you find them, right? Am I lying? No, James, I know your type most especially, right? But then when you're going for an interview, this is the best way. I'm not saying you should be all smiles like this, because your teeth and your chin definitely will begin to pain you, right? But then put on a smiley face, not frown. It's not so deep. For females as well, this is the best way. Or you can cross your leg at your ankle and then sit. Because by the time you do this way, you will definitely know how. You will still have to change positions. And that might distract you. You might be answering a question at that particular time, and then next thing, unconsciously, you just change legs, and then you begin to lose your train of thought. Right? So it's always advisable to sit appropriately. Because if you sit this way, trust me, you started thinking of different things. Different things, different situations. If you sit this way as well, you begin to look all around. Different things that you're not even supposed to be doing at that particular time, simply because you're not sitting appropriately. Alright, use a firm handshake. So after the interview, the interviewer might decide to stretch forth his or her hand to shake you. Right? So do not be feeble, do not be scared, do not be anxious, even if maybe you aced the interview, or even if you didn't do well. So you can still give them a firm handshake. Okay, so now let's shake each other. So there's hand sanitizer, and then you can wash your hands as well. You're going to judge your partner. Okay. So not even aside the shaking of 3 times, I want to see how well you can hold the person's hand. So don't hold, everybody please look here. So don't hold and be like this. Some people would shake hands like this. This is not appropriate, right? But then hold firmly. See my hands here, see our hands here. Right? Hold the hands firm. Don't squeeze the person's hand. Oh, James, just leave James. That's just, I think, how he is. So just firmly, and then you can just shake 3 times. Do not shake this way and then make the person get disturbed. Another thing is to maintain eye contact when speaking. A lot of us would fall victim of this during the interview. You would not look at the interviewer. I am 99.9.9.9.9% sure that not every one of us will look into the eyes of the interviewer, right? But then it is important, it is imperative, it is mandatory when you are attending an interview, maintain eye contact. We get feedback from a lot of employers or even facilitators to say your people are not looking into the eyes of the interviewers when they are. So it is mandatory that you learn how to maintain eye contact. most especially when you have a panel interview, because remember that you are not being interviewed by only one person, but you are being interviewed by more than one person, 5 people, 10 people, right? 2 people. You need to be able to maintain eye contact with each and every person so that they know that you are carrying them along. Be honest, do not lie. Do not lie on your CV, do not lie on the job, do not lie during the course of the interview. A lot of people can go to the cafeteria and I said cafeteria, food. Can go to the cafe, right? And then you just tell the person there, oh, please just help me write my CV. Maybe you can use somebody else's CV and then just put my name. That is absolutely wrong. Because first off, you do not know the other person. Don't know if the other person can actually do those things. You do not know if you yourself can do those things because you've not taken your time to know yourself. You've not taken your time to actually put in effort to writing your CV. When you're writing your CV, you can also ask people, your colleagues, your friends, to say, oh, what do you think I'm really good at? What do you think I'm really great at? And that can fall under the sets that you have. That can fall under your achievements, right? That can fall under different things in your CV. So you can just look for a way to merge in order for you to have the perfect CV, right? Be audible. You do not want to go for an interview and then you are speaking If, trust me, if my voice was low, everybody would lose focus to what I'm saying because I'm not speaking audibly. So you need to learn how to speak audibly so that you're not shouting, but then you are speaking in a way that everybody can actually hear everything that you are saying. The other day, my sister wanted to go for an interview, an online interview. She called me, I was wondering what's going on. And then she said, hello. I'm like, speak up now. And he said, oh, you can't hear me. I said, I can't hear you. He said, I have interview. That's why I called you. I said, you need to speak up because I'm even struggling to hear you. Right? So you need to practicalize how to be audible, not shouting, but then being audible. So be clear and concise. Do not give stories in your explanations. Be clear on questions before you answer. And then clarify if you don't understand before you answer. I'll explain that. So when they say being clear and concise, that means you are hitting the nail on the head. Tell me about yourself. My name is this. If you want to mention your school, I have so experience in this. I was able to increase the growth of blah 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 blah. I was able to do this, do that. Through the skills and competencies I have, I will be able to bring blah 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 into your organization and increase the level of growth or increase the level of people management and people understanding blah 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 blah. That's all. So do not start saying, my name is this. I'm the 5th born, or I'm the 10th born in my house. I come from this village. In my local government, the president was this, the chairman was this. All of that is not necessary. Even if they ask you, tell me about yourself, they don't need to know that for an interview. So be clear and concise, hit the nail on the head. Tell me about yourself. I'm going to be sending us a couple of things on the WhatsApp group and how to answer the top 10 interview questions for all industries, right? Do not give stories in your explanation. So do not tell them details that are not necessary for the job. You are there to get the job. You are there to ace the interview. So give them every information that you need to actually get the job. So if you do not understand the question that is being asked, you can ask them, please can you rephrase or can you come again if you did not get the question, right? So that you do not start assuming that, I think this person said, I think this person meant, and then you are just talking different things that is not relevant. Always ask questions. A lot of people would fall into this bucket as well. 99.9999999% of us, when we have an interview, we will not ask questions, but it is important that we always ask. So do not ask questions that you can find on Google, right? Do not they are not really so smart, right? There are some kind of questions that are not smart for an interview, and I'm sure that a couple of us would know some of those kind of questions, right? But then always ask questions that would make the interviewer see that, oh, I think this person is really fit for this job, or this person would really be a good employee of this organization. Depends on the kind of questions or how you answer questions as well. The interview session. So I'll also start taking questions from us. So you're expected to sit down when offered and not before. So do not just enter an interview room, you see a chair and then you assume that the chair is yours and you just sit on it, right? You're expected to wait, and if you notice that they are not asking you to sit, then you can also ask them, please can I sit down? Don't just go barging and then sit. Smile and be confident. There's a saying that says, you're never fully dressed without a smile, right? So it's always nice to smile. That's why hygiene is very good. Very, very good. So do not eat suya and then suya onion the day before your interview. It is not even, you won't like your breath, not to talk of other people, right? So smile and be confident, maintain good hygiene, carry a portfolio containing CVs and other credentials. So do not say, oh, I'm going for an interview, I'll just be there and then be back real quick. Let me carry this small, fine, fancy bag. By the time you carry that small, fine, fancy bag, you begin to fold your CV just for your CV to fit inside. And you do not want to go to an interview and then you are giving them a rough CV or rough letter-headed or cover letter, right? So you need to have a portfolio. It can be a file, it can be a bag that can fit into, that your CV can fit into perfectly without it being squeezed. Practice good communication, right? So speak clearly, right? That's speaking audibly. Don't use slang such as I wanna, I gonna, yup, nope, no, those are not professional for an interview setting. You can use that when you're speaking to your friends or your peers, not even your colleagues, right? It is not professional and it is not appropriate to be used during the course of an interview. So we need to be mindful of the kind of things that we say. I know that a lot of us, I hope we've changed, right? Maybe back some years back, a lot of people would type maybe on WhatsApp or on Facebook and then they're using short forms like WhatsApp, they spell it as WAT, the SUP or something. Those kind of messages are, if I see them up to date, I don't bother, I block the person because you can't come and reduce my IQ for me. I'm trying to elevate, right? So you need to be mindful of words that you use. Answer questions thoroughly, but do not talk too much. So this is more or less like you still hitting the nail on the head, being clear and concise, right? Don't talk too much, don't blab about a lot of things because that might definitely not be what you are being asked. Listen carefully so you understand what is being asked. Do not get distracted during the course of the interview. It might be so easy to get distracted, right? But ensure that you are not distracted so that you can listen properly, you can understand what is being asked. They can tell you, they can ask you that, okay, so tell me a situation whereby you say you're a great problem solver. So give me a scenario or a situation where you solved a problem before. And then you just somehow, I don't know how, but you just misunderstand what the person said. And then you start talking about a problem, but not how you solved it. You understand? So you need to listen carefully to know what is being asked of you. And also ask specific questions. Do not talk about salary unless the interviewer brings it up, so as not to give an impression that you are focused on their money and not the job. Just like, was it Token or Faithful that said the benefits, right? So you should not be going to an interview with the mindset of only what you want to collect from them. You should also go with the mindset of what you have to offer to them, right? No employer or no interviewer wants to bring in somebody that is just there to and absorb all their money, right? Even if you are in a relationship with somebody and then you just notice that this person is just always asking you for maybe money or asking you to get stuff for them, definitely you feel like you are being used, right? Not to talk of an employer. Do not say negative things about your previous employer, even though they were nasty. So some of us now, we've worked before and then they usually owe salary. It might be a couple of days late, it can be some days late, it can be some months late. But when you're going for a new interview, a fresh start, it is not advisable that you speak negative things about your previous employer, right? Because you give the new employer or the new interviewer the mindset that if I should offend this person just a little bit, this person is going to carry my news on maybe Instablog or Twitter, right? And then nobody wants or nobody needs bad reputation being put out for them. So ensure that you do not speak negatively about your previous employer or even colleagues as well. No chewing of gum or sweet or candy in your mouth. So you need to make sure that before you get into the organization, before you enter the premises, anything that is in your mouth, you need to ensure that you've taken it out, right? Just as being dressed properly, tuck in your clothes before you enter the organization. So as anything inside your mouth as well, you need to take it out. make sure your phone is on silent, right? You do not want to get distracted during the course of the interview, maybe by an alarm or a phone call or a text message, because it's not only going to distract you, but it's also going to distract your interviewer, right? What's that? Do you have something else?
Yes.
Okay.
Yesterday we discussed about weaknesses.
Weaknesses?
Yes.
Okay.
I asked that is it necessary or is it wise? How would I put it? Is it reasonable for somebody to go to his interviewer and put out his or her weaknesses?
So, you might be asked, this is a question, instead of going to take it after. I don't know why we are doing us like this. So weaknesses, right? Some interviewers would deliberately ask you about your weakness. They can ask you, what's your greatest strength? What's your greatest weakness? What is your greatest? That means one thing that you know it's powerful enough that beats the other strengths or weaknesses that you have, right? But then when you're answering the question about weakness, you need to sell it in a way that you know that this thing is a weakness for you, but you need to state how you're working on yourself to get rid of that weakness. Basically, that's what they want to know. They don't want to know that money is an issue for you and they are not thinking of any way to solve the problem of money. If you tell them money is an issue, but I am doing this to ensure that at least on a monthly basis, I earn this amount that would be able to help me cater for my family or myself, or do this or do that. You need to sell your weakness in a way that you are still trying to get it out as a weakness until you become almost perfect. Does that make more sense? All right. I'll take any other question after. Okay, so now finishing an interview. First thing is, remember to say thank you, right? Bless you. Did not tell me thank you. Remember to say thank you, right? The interviewer has set a time apart to speak to you in order to make you more employable, or in order to employ you. So it's always nice to say thank you, compliments, thank you. Thank you for your time, thank you for meeting with me, thank you for seeing me, right? Maintain composure until you leave the grounds. So even if the interviewer there and then tells you that you've gotten this job, do not come out to the lobby or the reception area and then you begin to start dancing or you begin to start shouting. You need to remember that it's a professional environment, right? So it's always advisable that you maintain composure until you leave the grounds. Another thing is, do not ask if you got the job, but you can ask about when you expect to hear from them. So we know that a lot of people might apply to jobs and then no feedback, no response, no nothing. But after your interview, do not ask, okay, so did I get the job? Most especially when it's not only you that applying for that job, right? You need to give the interviewer the chance to breathe in order to assess other people. So you cannot just be stingy alone and then just be thinking about you, yourself, and you, right? Ask, when can I hear from you? Or you can even send a follow-up thank you to them. Thank you for meeting with me, or when can I expect to hear from you? But do not go about calling all around because they might be busy. Most interviewers might be the HR personnel, right? And then they have a lot on their plates, trust me. But it's not nice to be all up about their business, because how many jobs did you apply to that you'll be following up with them, right? And also, same thing for them. How many people would they receive application for, and then how many people would they begin to call to say, oh, thank you, this. That's why most recently on job vacancies, you will see that only shortlisted candidates would be called upon or next stage, right? So that's all from me for today. Thank you all very much for your time. Are there questions for me? Thank you. Questions? Okay.
So you were like, we should prepare our cover letter,
Okay.
and our CV. I want to ask, your elevator pitch, can it also be a cover letter?
Your elevator pitch.
Yeah.
I've not seen your elevator pitch, right? But then it's still a summary of yourself, of something that is different from what is in your CV, right? So you can still convert that to be written out as your cover letter. Okay, it's okay. I'm coming.
The CV. Yeah, your CV. Before going for an interview, you would submit your CV form, right?
Yes, once they ask for it.
They will ask for it before you go for an interview.
Depends on the vacancy. So some people might attach email addresses to say send your CV to this, blah blah blah. But then, in as much as you sent your CV, you do not know the kind of interview that you are walking into. It can become a panel interview, for instance. So it is always still nice to still go with hard copy, more than one copy per se. You can go with at least five copies, because I heard of an interview before, most recently this year, and then a lot of people came, although they had sent in their CVs via email, but then they still took the initiative to still come with hard copies, because they discovered that these people would have received a lot of applications. Not all of those people that applied would still turn up for the interview, right? But then it's still advisable you go with the physical copy, should in case you need to share it to other people, or they tell you to still drop it or something. Munachi.
And this takes a lot of time. A lot of companies want you to have a lot of like years involved with the companies, but I've got no job experience. So you didn't want to employ someone like me.
So it depends on, first off, the role that you're applying for. You need to be able to sell yourself. You say you've not worked before. In your school, were you in any leadership position?
Yeah, I think Charlie talked about it, and I'm trying to like connect the door, but it's not working because, okay, I think I was the only prefect, but there's no like probably the jobs available for someone like me, an SSC holder is I think waiter job or whatever. So how can I connect the dots?
Okay, so health prefect, yes. You must have solved problems. If you maybe reached out to people that maybe they had injuries or something, did you do that? So that is problem solving. You've communicated with people. You had to know what is wrong with you in order for me to be able to maybe prescribe or to help you clean your injury or something. So if you know the different kind of skills that you have or that is available, you would still be able to connect. Like now I've mentioned two things, problem solving and then communication as well. You can also mention being a team player, because I'm sure you're not the only person in the health department. You might reach out to the health teacher or maybe your other colleagues or something, or reach out to someone, oh, I need the first aid kit, right? So you've also still reached out to people. You've been able to communicate well to them to see that you've actually... So some employers or organization would require, they would state it there, have 3 years experience, have 5 years experience, have this year experience. I know a lot of people that they might want 3 years experience, but then they have about 2 years experience, but then they still apply because what is in their skill set is fire, right? And then during the interview process, they know how to sell themselves well. So it might not, even if they state 15 years experience, if you have 13, that is a valuable number of years to have experience for, right? And then if you're opportune, maybe through the skill sets or your achievements that you have or the certifications that you've gathered in these other years, it might help you to become better than the other applicants that are there, right? So it's not only necessarily about a particular thing, but you being able to connect every other thing to selling yourself well as the best candidate for the job. You're welcome, right? And then when I ask a question, I'm referring to the both of you. So Cindy can start first since he has started already, and then you just answer after it's done. What are the qualities? You may sit. So what qualities do you think a manager or a waiter needs?
For the role of a waiter, I think I need to have these skills, time management.
Sorry, can you hear me at the back? So it's either you speak louder or you go to the back and speak from there.
For the role of a waiter, I think I need to have time management and problem solving.
For the role of a manager, you have to have good communication skill, teamwork, decision making, and problem solving.
Problem solving. Okay. So have you faced any challenge at your previous place of work?
Yeah, I had a 5 years experience in teaching, where I was able to record an outstanding growth and record that instead of the school sponsoring the inter-sport competition, now we should have sponsors from outside to sponsor the inter-sport competition. And with that, we were able to generate lots of funds from sponsors outside. And we leave the houses after the meal.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I think the challenge I experienced was the people I was working with in the kitchen, they were stealing the ingredients and they were misusing it. Like they use a lot of quantity of the ingredients, and whenever the manager asks them to get some ingredients, they always try to deduct the money and get less ingredients. So I noticed this problem and I had to call them one by one and talk to them about trying to manage the little resources they have and stop stealing, and I think it worked so positively. And since then, we have not complained about like misuse of any ingredients and been able to manage our ingredients properly.
Okay. What's your salary expectation? So you need to be able to be focused for the particular role that you're in for. Hand gestures as well. Even though your hands were not so up, they were down, and then I was getting a bit distracted because I was just seeing some sort of movements there, right? So you need to be able to sit in a way that you are comfortable enough not to move your hands so much. Then the diction, you said having a teamwork. So you need to be present in what you want to say. Try not to be absent-minded. You definitely know what you want to say, but maybe you were just a bit nervous at that particular point in time, which was what made you say having a teamwork, instead of maybe having teamwork experience or something. I've forgotten the whole context of the conversation, right? But you need to be more focused. I know you didn't prepare for this particular one, but then I know that by Thursday you'll be able to do much more better. And I wish you all the best with that. For Munachi, you also had hand gestures, right, under the table I was seeing, and even here you were tapping a bit, so it was a bit distracting for myself. Eye contact as well. You were looking at me at some point, but then at some point you also kept looking other ways. I asked you a question at a point, and then I just saw that you were nervous because you were nodding your head, you were doing like this. So I'm like, just try to say something, right? Even if you are so nervous, you can, maybe from your toes with your shoe, you can be pinching your leg there to keep yourself conscious of what you are saying, as opposed to actually showing the movements, maybe with your head of you being stressed or nervous or something. And then you are also giving same answers, yourself and Tunji. I asked for, I think, strength. You said teamwork or team player. You guys both said problem solving. You guys both said communication. Even though you were applying for different roles, I was still expecting to hear different things, but it still seemed like a repeated answer that I was listening to. So maybe that's why I said maybe another role would have been fit for you, because I was already hearing what you were giving me from another particular role. You understand? So thank you, Munachi and Tunji. So now I'll be having one-on-one interview. Let me have... Okay. Let me have Damilola. Okay. Just let me move one chair backward. So I'll take Damilola and one more other person, and that'll be it. Thank you. Good morning. Why are you here?
I'm here to interview for the role of customer service representative.
So how many years experience do you have with this role?
Actually, I don't have
Yes, you can.
I've worked with
that communication PLC with the human resources department, and I've also taught at staff secretary as well.
Can you hear?
I've worked at that communication PLC at the human resources department, where I'm being able to exhibit communication skills which is needed for the role of the customer service representative. I don't actually have experience in that role, but I actually have skills that could help me perform well in the customer service representative role.
Okay, such as?
I have the skills for communication, I have the listening skill, I have customer relationship skills, like I have empathy also, like I relate well with customers.
Okay, so why do you think you'll be a perfect customer service representative here?
I'll be a perfect customer representative here because I actually paid excessively to take a course at West African Vocational Education Academy in order to put myself right, in order to acquire these skills for a customer service representative.
What's your salary expectation?
My salary expectation would be from the range of 80,000 naira to 90,000 naira. Thank you.
You're welcome. Alright, so feedback for Damilola. First off, you said, I am here to interview for a CS role. That's wrong. So I'm here for the interview for a CS personnel or representative, right? Or I am here to be interviewed. No, I am here to interview. You say you are here to interview means you want to interview me. And then you were making a lot of mouth movements. I think you are doing mouth powers. I think there was just a mouth movement coming from you. Then you also made mention that you paid excessively for waves training. Trust me, a lot of people have paid for a lot of trainings. You do not want to mention that you paid in quotes for a training, but you can say you acquired skills from this particular organization, or you are skilled in this particular thing, not even necessarily the name of the organization, right? A lot of people have their masters, they have their PhD. They cannot tell you, oh, I paid this amount for masters, I paid this amount for PhD. All of that doesn't really tally, right? For your salary, do you think you can go lesser? Yes. So what's the least amount you can collect? Okay. Then you also made mention of, you said, I promise you, I'll do this, that in the next 3 months too, you're going to increase my salary, right?
I was like, see a reason for it.
Increase salary, but then you're already talking about salary without an offer, right? The employer or the interviewer to see you actually, right? So don't just tell me. That's assessment interviews. Show me, don't tell me, right? It's left for me to decide if in 1 month's time I say no, this lady needs to earn more than she's earning now, and then you pay her more, right? So you need to at least be able to show them what you can do, and then leave the organization to be able to decide how much they want to increase your salary by. Some people increase maybe on a quarterly basis or yearly basis, right? As the case may be. And then you said you also see yourself moving from a customer service representative to head HR, right? If you had explained how you want to see yourself move in the next 2 years, that would have been awesome. But then you just stating, oh, I want to move in the next 2 years to this. It's too, like, I mean, everybody can dream big. I can say in the next 1 month, I want to be the president of Nigeria, and then I leave it at that. How do I want to become the president? How do I want to get there? What are the steps I need to take? What are the courses? What are the connections I need to make to be able to get to the position which I aim for? Then when I asked about the sales rep experience, I was looking to hear more, right? You just said it's a mini mart, it's your family business, and then when your mom is not around, you're majorly the sales rep there. You could have just said, oh, maybe giving me instances of how you made the organization to grow as well, even as a sales representative, how you related with customers, maybe how you solved the problem, 1 or 2. Right? Just give me a background story to how well you performed in the organization. right? Then you were tensed, right? Which is fine, and I like the fact that you asked for some time to just relax. That is really cool for everybody that's maybe during the course of the interview you might feel tensed, right? You can ask for a time off to just breathe, to catch your breath. Then when I asked, do you have any questions for me? I already understood the question from the first sentence that you made. So you explaining to me that, oh, it is needed for staff to be able to know themselves more, all of that, it's information that I already know. So I was just waiting for you to just stop so I could answer your question. But you already passed across your information with the first sentence, right? So you need to be careful of how you answer of how you ask the questions. You need to be clear and concise about that. Then the last person I'll be taking for today, we're also going to be interviewed, right, next week.
Okay, can I say something?
Okay.